Hello, this is the consolidation report for December 2013 to January 2014. And this video is going to include all data from the 1st of December 2013 to the 31st of January 2014, which is today. Okay, and also always this consolidation report will be divided into three sections. The first section here will be going through the awards that achieved during this period. The second section will be a detailed day-by-day breakdown of what's happened during the period, and finally I'll end with my favourite build. So we're going to start off as always with the diamond block. I think we start with diamond block, but yeah, the reality is this has been the best period ever. So yeah, and what I've done is there's so many things I could have spoken about here really, but yeah, every kind of possible record that I've had, basically, essentially since the Thorncraft 3 video back in March 2013, everything was broken this month. So yes, and it was, and in general, it was quite, most of those reviews were generated, I suppose, in December. So, but then the knock-on effect was that it all generated, all the views just came in this month very, very strongly, and of course the highlight is the most views in a single day. Previously, it was on the 9th of March 2013. So yeah, so basically it was 10 months ago since I've got this. So that record of 251 was beaten twice by 275 on the 11th of January and then 277 on the 19th of January. So yeah, and then we've also got the weekly record from week 8 of 2013, which was, yeah, so that would have been the end of February, I guess. All around that sort of time is when that Thorncraft video was really booming, and it's I guess that video is probably the most kind of explosive video I've had in terms of views. But regardless, it was different this time in terms of what happened. It wasn't just dependent on one video. So I mean, that's pretty pleasing actually, to have this sort of wider spread of things. But like I say, so the record of week 8 was beaten twice. We've got week 1 of 2014. So that record of 1227 was beaten fairly substantially, but 1444, and again the record went again on week 3 of 2014. So very, very recently, and it was a 1458. Monthly views in general has been about, in general the views have been, around the sort of 3.2, maybe somewhere 3.5. Recently, when I just checked a moment ago, we were looking at 5,800. So I think that's, yeah, it's a substantial growth though, and substantially more than I've had, and all these figures are going to be very, very likely, I'd imagine, to be all breaking these records, like all of them really. So I didn't really want to include all of them. I suppose I could have done, but the general theme is that overall there's just a lot of growth, and so yeah, that's all I can really point to that. I did mention the daily minutes viewed, so there's a lot more. Yeah, so we've gone up from about 14 hours to 15.5 hours. So yeah, that's pretty good. And I broke the daily minutes viewed 3 times. So the 19th. So we had it on the 5th, the 11th, and then the 19th. So up from that sort of 14-hour kind of number more to the 15.5 hour. So yeah, so So that's good. All right, so and then the gold block was actually I kind of almost considered putting a gold block as the diamond block here, but then I decided, well, best overall period is probably good enough for the diamond. But the gold block is very very and kind of tells a story about the difference between this period and March 2013, because this period was 21 videos. I mean, currently it's 21 videos, I think. Yeah, it's 20 or 21. Pretty sure it's 21 actually. So 21 videos with over 100 views this month. So that's, I mean, that's pretty strong. So, so yeah, there's not much. There's not really a huge amount I can say. All that I can say is that we're getting this nice spread. We've got the old sort of stalwarts maintaining the pace, and indeed being actually boosted by this spurt, I suppose. So yeah, and then we've got some nice new videos as well coming through and taking up the slack. Okay, so the next thing, like I'm just saying, is the iron block. And this is about these new videos that have come through very, very strongly. Very good start for Morph. Morph is actually about 600, yeah, just over 600 views now. So that's looking good. In a month to get over 600 views, I would think it's going to get to 1,000. The current pace would probably get to 1,000 within a few weeks or a month, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Astonishingly, that's actually a 55-minute video, so that would be my longest video. Yeah, because a lot of the very very popular videos, all the ones in my over 1,000 views are. I'm not sure. Maybe I've gone slightly above 20 minutes, but I certainly haven't gone above 30. I really don't think I have. But a lot of those videos are very short. Nuclear Omniancy is only an 8-minute video, for instance. Have a 55-minute video with that high views. I mean, admittedly, the audience retention isn't exactly, it's not like everyone's watching this for like 45 minutes, but still to have that high view count for a very long video is very good. And it was a very informational video, that one. So there will always be, I think there's always going to be interesting things that I mentioned there, because one of the real key things, I mean, and is that the fact that all the mods came out for 1.6.4. I'd basically been going through a period, and it's important, I think, to look at this exactly what was going on here. I'd gone through this kind of period where in October, November, I was doing a vanilla series. It wasn't too well received, but by the time all the mods came out in December, I was ready to get back into the mods, and I jumped straight into them. There were loads of new mods, like 30, 40, but because I'd had that kind of rest, I just ready to jump in, and I think and that's probably why things worked out quite well for me there. So that's it's good to see the context of that. But like I say, we've got very strong starts for Morph, over 600. Mimicry is pushing 400. Rotary Craft is well over 300. Blood Magic, I had 4 episodes of Blood Magic. Yeah, all 4 of them done well. I made them all quite short, all quite concise, and especially with Enhanced Portals and Engineers Toolbox. I'll be revisiting Engineers Toolbox at the end of this episode. But they were really, I was very sharp, very concise with those two, in the same way with Blood Magic, and yeah, so it was good. It was good to have that element as well. Have the very short ones, because it's kind of like there's 3 sort of general types. There's a sort of very short, very concise, and then there's the medium length, which is slightly rambling but still very focused, and then the long rambling, long videos. And to have this good blend of the 3, especially with that, I think that Morph video is quite good to have a nice long video up there. All right, and finally, continue good performance of Mistcraft and extra utilities. And this is really, even though I put it as a stone block, it's still a very, very important issue here, because Mistcraft is still, far and away my #1 video, because one of the things is, because it's up there, it will sort of, it's very likely to stay up there. It's still on page 2 for Mistcraft search, and it's actually well, it kind of varies a bit. But I can't complain about that. If people are watching that for 6 minutes, that's much, much more than, that's a lot of time. If you've got an average viewing time of 6 minutes, and the extra utilities isn't far off either. That was just one of those videos, and the extra utilities video when I had that, and I just previously just done just got chosen the real the best infernal mobs, and it just worked out very well, that one. And Mistcraft, of course, I tried to explain things as well as I could, and also the fact that Mistcraft hasn't actually updated in any kind of significant way has been beneficial for me in that area as well. But yeah, all in all, it's been a very, very positive period. There's very little. It's just been a great period. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to a day-by-day analysis. We're going to go through each of the videos, talk about my views on those. So let's get on with that. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got this line here on the 1st of December. I began by the beginning of the 1st of December. I began by carrying on with Herobrine's Return. Obviously, we're doing a lot of these maps recently, and yeah, so it was. These first 4 days. This was obviously the last month when I was going to do 4 days at the beginning of the month for the custom maps, and I began with Herobrine's Return, which was kind of a nice adventure map. Creeper Dungeon was more of I suppose it is still an adventure map, because there were elements of kind of shops and stuff like that. But Creeper's Dungeon was more kind of a little bit quicker, and a little bit move into the next room, and then that's what happens. But yeah, they seem to go pretty well. They've been enjoyable maps, actually, and it's been a good thing for me to do, as opposed to kind of the past, when I've been often kind of focusing on parkour maps. To do some well-crafted adventure maps has been a good change of pace. And yeah, and I actually completed Creeper Dungeon on the 3rd of December there. I did a side mission as well for Herobrine's Mansion, and then carried on towards the mountains to go into later sections of the game. Now, then we've got part 21 of Achievement Hunter. Obviously, it's a series continuing on from the previous period. And yeah, this was kind of, I think because I'd taken a little bit of a break, I was moving around a little bit at this point. And in fact, this was actually going to be the end of the series, at part 24 there, because of the impending release of FTP 164. But yeah, so I'd moved to a flat area, and then I was going to, and then during 21, 22, 23, and 24. Yeah, for most of these episodes, actually, I'd found a flat area, I went down into a cave. I actually built a staircase there. I lit up the whole area with a huge amount of torches. And then in that final episode, 24, I found the mine shaft in 23. And then 24, I took out a cave spider spawner in a completely vanilla survival way that was. It was kind of unbelievable that I actually managed to do that, because I've not been very. I'm just not very good at survival. So to actually do that, take out that cave spider spawner, without dying, yeah, it was. I thought I was going to die many times during that, but it was great though. It was really great that last episode. And after that episode, I thought, it turned out that the idea that I'd have about using the kind of the concatenated achievement system to kind of prolong the series, because I hadn't really done that early enough in the series. It just didn't work out that way. Now, what I also did actually, I also did Chicken Jockey in 13W49A. So this was interesting because I actually noticed that, and it seemed like quite a significant change in that particular. I mean, it may have been I was just at that particular point. Because I was playing a lot of vanilla. I was very kind of aware of the development cycle. Of course, it's carried on substantially since then. But I was very aware of the current development cycle, and I found that Chicken Jockey. I found it very, very interesting how the behaviour was changed, and how it was very, very different from what was going on with the other mobs. And I remember thinking very kind of clearly that this seems to be exactly what's going on with the achievement system as well. This seems to be an extension rather of what's going on with the achievement system. So it was very interesting to me, this kind of concatenation, this sort of saying that it's kind of like distillation or diffusion. I'm not quite sure exactly what word to put in there, but of behaviour of the various different mobs, and it made me think, can any mob behave like any other mob now? Have the rules changed? So that was what I was considering there. So anyway, what happened next? Well, then the 164 happened, and things obviously took it, as I've previously stated, it obviously took a big turn for the very, very positive. So FTB came out. At first, it was, the thing about FTB, when it came out, there was so many mods, and I had not been keeping up to date at all with any of them. If I'd been keeping up with things like the Resonant Rise mod pack, I may have been a little bit more aware of what was actually going on. But as it was, I hadn't been keeping up with some of the kind of the sort of scenes type of mod packs, and I was really caught completely unawares. And so I thought, how am I going to do this? And I started with Rotary Craft Morph and Whaler, all videos which were pretty. I mean, Rotary Craft and Morph really were the main ones that were very, very popular. And yeah, so I thought Rotary Craft, it's a big, sort of functional mod, lots of blocks. I liked the look of the handbook, the API, or have you? Well, no, it's not the API. It's just the handbook, I think. But there's a separate thing there. But yeah. So I just looked at that and I just thought, I'm going to start with that. And I think probably what happened was I saw the World Edit tool, and I was like, okay, this is great, because now you can do all the things that have traditionally been reserved for third-party tools. And if you can make, and later on when I did other stuff, I just making huge holes. It's literally like, like it almost felt like a new sort of quarry sort of system. It was that level of of course, quarries are fast. In fact, there's actually quarries plus now, which are a very fast quarry. But to be able to just literally, you know, you would literally be able to. And I didn't actually realize all this at the time, of course, but I only realized the constructive potential. But but to be able to just literally just mark a point and then go across in the X direction straight down in the Y, mark that second point, and for that whole huge area, it could be 80 blocks high with a huge volume of thousands of blocks, and just to clear that whole area in the space of as fast as you can do it, is incredible. So yeah, so that's why I started with Roadcraft, and it was very, very well received. I should take a look at some of this. Yeah, FTB Horizons was the one that started, and I don't think there was actually much else at the time. Oh no, I did realise I did realise destructive potential. Okay, yeah, I did mention the creation potential there. All right, so then I'll just stay at this bit because it's a bit more relevant, and I've kind of explained what's going on anyway. So then the day afterwards, I did Morph. Now Morph was a mod I was pretty well aware of at this stage, but yeah, Morph is obviously very powerful. It's very unique and also very, very popular. Yeah, I mean, I just it was a fun mod to do. In a sense, though, I already knew about it. It wasn't a huge revelation as it might have been, and it was something that I kind of felt comfortable in. I hadn't really been keeping up with the mod packs, but I did know about Morph, and I did know about some of the mods. I did know about. I mean, always. I mean, I've been playing the game for a while, so I do keep up with various different things. And it's fairly obvious, and it was a fairly obvious one to do. And what that actually let me do is actually let me look about what was actually going on in the mod pack. And similarly with the Day After Whaler, that also helped me to know what was going on with the mod pack. I was doing lots of stuff. I wanted to. Yeah, it was a very kind of creative period actually. I got a lot of kind of color schemes. I kind of got some color schemes that I really liked, and that was very, very beneficial actually. And yeah, Whaler was a good mod to do, and I set up kind of an interesting base in the ravine. And I sort of placed all the different blocks everywhere. Went up to them during the video and yeah, just looked through them. It was very, very cool, and it helped me just to get a feel for some of the mods, because there were so many new mods, so much new stuff out there, so many new interfaces, so many new GUIs and stuff. That it was, yeah, it was just good to get a feel for it, and after that, and it helped kind of get me into the mods right at the perfect time when they were actually just all released. So rather than being overawed, I just jumped straight in at the deep end, and it was very, very positive for me. Okay, unfortunately, fortunately afterwards, it was actually time to do the regular mid-month academia sort of bit. So yeah, and it was electronics and chemistry. So we did chemistry 8 there. Yeah, so electronics carried on in a fairly low-key vein. I was just talking about conductors, impact of heat on conductors. Obviously, with electronics, I haven't started doing too much of that yet. I haven't really moved on to circuitry yet. So it's very, very much a sort of introduction at the moment with electronics, and then with chemistry, did a bit of a recap of ionization, successive ionization energies, and worked a little more on that. So I looked at the different shells, drew some of the tables out, looked at these big jumps between various different successive ionization energies. And obviously that's related to the shell, So yeah, so I just looked at those, and it was good. It's good. I mean, one of the reasons I actually did a lot of this academic stuff is because going through all the different mods all the time, doing hundreds and hundreds of mods. It's I wanted to have a focus in academia because it's something that is obviously very important for me. So that's why I've done that, and it was nice timing actually for that. And then the next day after that, on the 18th, we did advanced genetics. Again, it's actually very well received. I got kind of about five, yeah, I mean, very high audience retention on that one. So I think that one's going to be, and I actually did that in the same world that I did the Whaler video. So it was good. It was nice to have that world, and that's one of the things that you can do is if you've got a very good quite a nice world with a lot of different sort of caverns, avenues, and places to go. It's often quite hard in FTB with so many updates. You generally just have to just ditch that world and create a new one as soon as the update comes out. But it was nice just to stay in that for a little bit of time. I mean, I think it was literally that was probably the last thing I did there actually before I updated. But yeah, so I went through that. I went through the kind of the scraper, and I did some good notes on that one because I'd been doing a lot of notes from my chemistry and electronics stuff. It was kind of quite easy for me to do a lot of good notes on that, and so I did a lot of good notes, and kind of got the kind of structure of how to do things, kind of quite focused, and yeah. So that went pretty well. And I'm sure I'll have to go back to that one soon, I think. So then we had Extra Utilities Part 2. So yeah, so it was an interesting period actually because I was kind of aware. One of the things I've always tried to focus on is this portals and dimensions, and I'm well aware that there's many new dimensions that get added that often to very little to no fanfare, and it's important for me to keep up with all these different dimensions that get added. And I saw that the Extra Utilities had the Deep Dark, so immediately jumped into that. And it was an interesting dimension. The Underground World Gen was seemed fairly familiar with the narrow, winding corridors that seemed to sort of, for some reason I just think of that as like the amplified stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible, of course, that a lot of the observations I make are actually based in fact, but I don't know. So yeah, so it was pretty cool to check out the Deep Dark. It was a very cool dimension, and yeah, it just seemed like a sort of underground dimension. It was cool to see, though. Okay, now. Next up, we had Blood Magic. Now, Blood Magic was something that, I've spent a lot of time looking at Blood Magic. One thing's for sure is that there's a lot to it. Yeah, unfortunately, I chose Blood Magic as the one to write down notes for, and that may be a mistake because I've probably written about 30 pages of notes on that already. But all those episodes went very, very, very well. I had been using the World Edit tool a lot, and every episode I did something different. I made the episodes short, I made them snappy, I made them concise, and every episode, at the moment, it's over 100 views with the first episode. And obviously, there's that sort of sloping pattern with the episodes, but it's a very, very enjoyable mod by Magic, and I was kind of like thinking, do I want to go into Thorncraft or I want to go into Ars Magica? And when I saw there was another Magic mod that perhaps had lots of new ideas in it, and had a very nice, very kind of, it just has a good system to it. There's the armor, there's the demon summoning, there's the potions, there's the altar. So it's just and even though I have spent a ridiculous amount of time and actually my pad, I wanted it to to have multiple mods in it, and it's going to end up mostly being Blood Magic in it. It's been very interesting to have to go through all these kind of. It's interesting to see all the different sections, I think, of the mod, and that's something which has been very, very interesting to yeah. And it was great to do it with the World Edit tool. It was a lot of fun to make those episodes, and I really, really enjoyed that. So you can see I started with the I looked at the lore, fuel source. I actually did some stuff with Rotorcraft in the first episode as well. It was funny. I used the Rotorcraft suction pipe, and then blood seemed to emanate. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. That's something which I still haven't. I haven't actually revisited that. So I may have to do that soon. I looked at the lava crystal, the lava sigil, and then we got up to the tier 2 blood altar with the blood recipe. So I didn't get particularly far in it. I didn't do some of the really kind of advanced stuff. I didn't really even do the intermediate stuff. But I've got, luckily I have been really focusing on that, and I'm definitely, you know, I've written so many notes, I kind of have to do that one now. But yeah, no, I'm definitely very keen on Blood Magic, and there will certainly be more of that to come. Now, then we had Enhanced Portals 3. Now, as soon as anything with portals comes out, I absolutely adore doing portal stuff. I think portal stuff is some of the most fun stuff you can do, and Enhanced Portals was great. Admittedly, another thing that I did when I was writing my pad was I'd written down the whole thing for Enhanced Portals, and I realised I've just written down the whole thing for Enhanced Portals 2, and this is Enhanced Portals 3. So then I had to write the whole thing down for Enhanced Portals 3 as well. So that was a little annoying at the time, but it's good though, because Enhanced Portals is very, very good. It really is very good. And I think what makes it so great is just, I mean, it's just that, I mean, it's not just the customization, it's the whole, it really feels like an actual kind of network. It feels like a telephone network or something. It's really, really cool. And I just wanted to get that video absolutely, I just wanted to, you know, I spent a long time on that. And I'm not quite sure, yeah, I mean, it was a 4-minute video, and it was very, very simple, but I really liked that video a lot. It just felt like a great video, really. It's just so fun to make, and I did something funny at the beginning, which I don't often do, which is I show the end at the beginning. It's almost like a kind of memento style way of doing things. Yeah, well, not really, but in terms of reversing the chronology of what's going on, I showed the end at the beginning, and yeah, that's I think that's you can't often do that. I mean, well, I don't know. It was a good episode. Went very well, that one. And I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, then Mimicry came out. So this was kind of at the point when new mod packs were kind of running out, I suppose. Yeah, this is probably the last one for a while. And so it was interesting, Mimicry, because at the time I'd been looking and I was thinking, a lot of these. So we've got you know, there's all doublers, there's triplers, there's quadruplers, there's quintuplers, and it was interesting. It seemed to be doing something, Mimicry, that I'm not quite sure what it was doing. I'm not quite sure what it is doing, to be honest. But it certainly is interesting nonetheless. And much of mod development is kind of focused on having the machines that can do those things, increasing it via the use of you know, dust, or you know, piles of you know, what have you. So yeah. So, and that was a very, very successful video. To be honest, I wasn't really expecting it. Magic World, though, because I started with Magic World 1, so it's kind of it's like a that's to me that's sort of even before I decided to do this approach to the mods, I started with Magic World 1, and so this is Magic World 2. So that was the cause for celebration. Okay, we moved on to Farlanders. So I've always I mean, this was pretty cool. So many Endermen and stuff. Very interesting mod for Howlanders. I think that's the one that adds. Is that the one that adds? Yeah, I think there's some interesting audio stuff going on with Farlanders, which I didn't expect. And yeah, there was playing Magic World 2 is pretty fucking cool. Actually, I do enjoy it. It's a very cool mod pack. It's actually recently got an update, the first update since that point actually for like a month. But I have actually built some structures already, so I have to see what I do there. I have to think about that one. But yeah, Farlands is a very cool episode. And I noted there in the description that the original Enderman was from Beta 1.8 pre-release 1. Very cool. So yeah, so at that point things had gone pretty well, and I was feeling pretty confident. So I then moved on with my Minecraft feature. Now, obviously, this is something which I'd started before, and I feel like I've kind of got the right approach to Redstone, because obviously when I started Redstone, it was I was just going through all the gates in a just going up through the gates, basically. You know, this gate, this gate, this gate, this gate, this gate. And now what I've done is and in fact, as we'll see in this month's Redstone videos, I've actually gone through another layer for this as well. So I did Redstone Basics, carried on with that, and then I did Applied Redstone. And this, and it actually makes sense to talk about it here. So I've actually done, so I've applied Redstone with some kind of sort of foraging, sort of looking forward, looking to see how this is done. How do we complete this challenge? You know, if that's the sort of challenge sort of thing. And what I did this month, Deductive, was very much I know what's going on, and that's the sort of how I wanted to see it. Apply Redstone, because I didn't want to go too far out. I didn't want to sort of venture too far out into that sort of, that territory. So then the Deductive Redstone is the sort of the no territory. So it's kind of like it's almost sort of like metaphysical concept, but I mean that's really what to do with that. Anyway, I enjoyed doing these Redstone videos, and they were just a lot of fun to do, really. And yeah, the Applied Redstone video I did, I sort of set myself this challenge, like get this block from this spot to this spot using the concepts we learned. And really, I mean, this idea, and it's really kind of helped me a lot, because before I was just sort of like, I was just sort of just placing the blocks, but I didn't really know what was going on with the blocks. Now, when you understand this whole thing with power block, what's a power block, what's a transmission, what's a power component, what's a transmission component, what's a mechanism component. Once you understand this interoperation of these different components, once you understand the strong power, the weak power, the opaque blocks, how these opaque blocks, how you can, I can think, it's at the point now where I can actually think in my head, which I couldn't do before, of how I'm going to say, the reason I didn't get anywhere with that vanilla series, the Achievement Hunter, I didn't really get what I wanted to do, is because I couldn't figure out a way of how am I going to get, how am I going to set up these achievement systems, how am I going to set up the command blocks. But now I can actually think of a way, in fact it's actually entirely because of this understanding this opaque and strong power and weak powered blocks, because I didn't see, wait a minute, if this command block doesn't resolve true, then how can it output a signal? That was what was going in my head, and I was like, do I do multiple ones? Do I do what? And now it's sort of gradually, I'm seeing, maybe if you do it around in a circle, and then if you use if you use an opaque block, it doesn't have to go just into the command block. You can go out, the signal can go out the other way, and it can go to a different command block, and then you could have the whole system of command blocks, and then you could have that come up on the screen when you do it. Anyway, it was very, very cool. So next we moved on to NEI Part 2. So at this point I've been using the new version of NEI. And the new version of NEI was very, very fun to use. It was, again, it was something I was aware of. And it included a range of very interesting usability features. Certainly the ability just to press one button to switch it from creative to career plus to survival and adventure, and further modes is going to be very, very useful functionality. So yeah. And yes, I looked at the feature. That was a nice short video, very concise. Went through a lot of points that I've now gone through in NEI. It wasn't as successful, but it was a very strong video. I just went through so many points, and that's what I like to do sometimes. Just go through multiple points that are enjoyable to do, and that is very kind of information heavy and clear, concise, and good video. And then as we move towards the end of 2013. We had Engineer's Toolbox. Now, Engineer's Toolbox, and I'm going to be speaking about that. I'm actually going to have it at the end of this video. Engineer's Toolbox, it kind of changed the rules. For me, this whole thing of modular sockets, it really did change the rules. Because it said, and in some ways it reminded me of when I did Forge Multipart Part 1, and I was like, oh wow, you can have two levers in the one block space. That's incredible. And to be honest, it's saying, and it's like also I thought compressed cobblestones were. It's saying, look at what you can have in this one block space. And it is just opening up for everything. It's completely. It's like I mean, the old way was like, well, we need a block to do this. We need a block to do this. We need this to cook this. We need this to, centrifuge this or whatever. Or we need this to break apart. We need this to put together. We need this to analyze. We need this to now. this one socket, and I used a bit of alliteration in my description, which I quite enjoyed. That the functional fascia framework, oh, I really enjoyed that one though, and that's what I'm going to do at the end here. But it for me it certainly changed the rules. Okay. So the next, so at the end of the month, I did mopeds. This was kind of, I wasn't quite sure how am I going to end the year off, and I noticed with mopeds there's actually a range of different mopeds that are not included in the game. Interestingly, when I've actually looked at recent vanilla versions, I'm not quite sure when they all came in, but I don't think I've looked at when they actually all came in, but I've noticed that all the skeletons and zombies are. So it kind of seems to me that it's very likely we're going to see all these mob heads come in, and there are actually mob heads for all the different mobs. And I went through all them, and that was interesting because they're actually in the vanilla game. There's a lot more mob heads in the vanilla game than I thought there were, and it kind of draws an interesting point with vanilla is that there's a lot more in the game that. There's just a lot in the game that I think is, unless you keep very, 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 and I noticed this when I was actually doing my Achievement Hunter series, there's a lot in the game that you just will not notice unless you keep a very, very close eye on the development of the vanilla game. I believe for 1.7, large portions of the game were changed. A third of the code base, I believe. And that's a huge amount. Especially if they're, I'm not sure if they're in millions of lines of code, but they probably are. But it's a huge amount. So you got to always and so it was interesting to see that mob head thing, and I think that's probably something which it won't be the last so when we last hear that, so it'd be nice to have that sort of. And that's often what I think. It's nice to have that kind of way to look back at that stuff and say, oh, well, I could kind of anticipate that. So we then moved into 2014. Took on a boss fight to begin the year in Herobrine's Return, and then we moved on to Wither's Challenge. Now, Wither's Challenge is certainly a challenge. It's a very hard map. But it's it's a very good map. I think that's probably been my favourite map so far for a long time. I escaped, but with just one life, and obviously, next part will, yeah. Okay, so so anyway, that was the first 2 days, and obviously at this point we'd moved to a different schedule. It's just the first. Obviously, in the first quarter, I just do 2 days of maps at the beginning. It's the lowest number through the whole year, actually, just the 2 days. Okay. Then we moved on to NEI plugins. Now, this video was actually fairly successful, purely because of its absurd length. I'm not entirely certain, but I think this might be the longest video I've actually produced for the channel ever. Quite why I decided to do that, and I went through all the Bs. I went through thousands of pages of stuff. Normally, I just say, oh yeah, well, I'll go through a bit of it. I really went through it. I went through a lot, and I said, once all 164 is finished, once the sort of the latest version of Monster, even though Unleashed didn't even come out, it's on 117 now, and I've only got 116 for some reason, but once Monster gets the very, very latest version, then I'll do the second part, and that will probably be ridiculously long as well. Okay. So, what next? Well, Galacticraft came next. At this point, I was just looking through all the mod packs. I was really sort of saying, I was starting to think. I mean, when I've been working on Achievement Hunter, I don't know, I just didn't think about it as much. But then, all the time, even during sort of latter half of 2013, I was always thinking I really want to do every single one. And it's kind of like almost an impossible. I mean, it is. I mean, it's close to being an impossible task to do every single mod. And it's not like this is like a. This is kind of like the hardest mod pack. It's why it's kind of fun for me, because I know that this stuff is like the hardest you can get. It's not like, I mean, of course it'd be easy if it was all just just look at these mobs or look at this giant, whatever, and it's just a big thing. But obviously with these mods, it's like it's got blocks and there's no instructions, and then everything's sort of piecing together. That's why I did it. So anyway, then I moved on to Galacticraft. I used Lapto's Galacticraft pack, and at this point, I was just starting to think. I think it's probably because maybe things have been going well, and I thought, right, I really want to get Galacticraft right. Because my first episode of Galacticraft, yeah, sure. I mean, I made it into space. I didn't take anything with me to make the space station. I didn't. To be honest, I still haven't done that ever. But I thought, I'm going to make sure I get Galacticraft absolutely right. And so with those 2 episodes, I just did. It was just from raw materials to space. They were actually identical before, but I just changed it. But yeah, I just wanted to be clear with that stuff. So, and Galacticraft was good. Those 2 episodes were very good. I was very focused. I knew exactly what I was doing, all stages, and it went. And I just wanted that, because Galacticraft is Galacticraft, as they say. And then we moved on to utility mobs. Utility mobs was. I mean, it really is incredible. Utility mobs. The organization of that mod is really something else. the customization, the ability of the mobs to do stuff. It really was like, I mean, literally, it's very easy to imagine a very complex strategy game with multiple enemy creatures, controlled by all these different golems. There's also, yeah, there's some other stuff as well that I haven't done. There's actually, I think there's like a crafting table golem or something as well. I haven't done, and that's just one section I didn't do. But I looked at the turrets in quite some detail. So first I started looking at the golems, and then I looked at the turrets in a lot of detail, and they were both very, very interesting. And there's still more to do on that. So I'll certainly be considering that soon. Then I went into Infamy. I checked out the latest version. I think it's on 2.0.9 at the moment. Just went through starting adventure. Just went through a custom map. I had a little bit of fun at the end. I checked out some of the guns and stuff, and then I set off that super red power. Not red power. What is it? I can't even remember what it is now. It's basically the most explosive and damaging weapon in the whole game, and it's always been the way. It's always been the way. It just destroys the world. I set that off at the end there. It was fun. And yeah. And then we moved on to Journey Map. So Journey Map is probably the one that piqued my interest a lot. There have been a lot of cartographic options. Zan's minimap and Ray's minimap. It causes a lot of confusion because they often use they say they use the same base. Then sometimes there's an expression of the contouring, and there's obviously this sort of the battle lines, and I don't really understand quite what's going on. But the point is, the Journey Map seemed a bit different from all of them. There's also, of course, Map Writer or Opis. But I'd known about that, and it didn't look quite. I mean, this Journey Map looked more like Din Map, which I'd seen before. So I jumped into Journey Map. I wasn't actually planning on doing, but I'd been doing a lot of stuff, even outside these episodes, with just making worlds, messing about, doing stuff, because the world edit tool had been. I think this is probably when I finally kind of just thought, okay, enough with the world edit tool. But yeah. So yeah, I had a lot of fun in Journey Map. I actually almost I was going to do during the video. I actually said, I might do an online bit for this, and then have it in the browser. And I recorded it a few times. Just kept on getting it wrong. And I thought, what, maybe I shouldn't actually do that. Because then I thought, wait a minute, how do I always do things? Have I ever had, apart from of course Computercraft, but that doesn't really, well, it does. Computercraft is Computercraft, not enough of that. But apart from that, I've never, and this video, of course, I don't actually mix gameplay footage in Minecraft with actual desktop capturing. So it was good that I didn't actually end up doing that, and I just had the video in the world, because the world it was a pretty cool world, and it was nice to show the world, to show the features of Journey Map. And if there were additional features in the browser, it may have been, it probably would have been more down to the Google API, I think. So it probably wouldn't. I'm not quite sure what showing the browser would have actually added to it. But I think more importantly is the fact that, like I say, to have this very, very kind of strict idea and this system that I'm not going to show browser footage and Minecraft gameplay footage. I'm not going to show desktop footage and Minecraft gameplay footage in the same video, aside from Computercraft, which is going to be different because it is programming after all, and aside from the consolidation report, which again is different because this is it's obviously a different type of video, and of course aside from the academic videos. But I thought it was good to and I just thought through that recently actually. Okay, so then we had thermal expansion. So thermal expansion, I'd been meaning to get back into thermal expansion for a while. I mean, obviously, OmniTools, one of my most popular videos. So getting into thermal expansion, and actually, if I'm being honest, I wasn't really planning on getting back to it at this point. I just wanted to look at the redstone furnace and the pulverizer. Funnily enough, I don't think I even realised at the time that you actually can put redstone in the redstone furnace. It just didn't. It didn't. I don't know why I didn't think of that, and I don't think I even knew about it. I probably did. I'm sure I watched some of my industrial craft videos. I can see that you can do this stuff, but to me, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I just don't think of putting redstone in there. I just don't think of redstone as a fuel source in the same way. I don't know why. It just doesn't seem like a fuel source. I don't know. I don't like. I don't know. I guess everyone gets these things. But I really enjoyed it, so I actually went on to really go into much more detail on it. Okay, then I did Lycanite's mobs. This was it was a interesting video. Yeah, just looked at the mobs. There was some nice, nice spine, nice kind of work on the spines of the enemy mobs. It's quite enjoyable, and quite interesting looking mob creatures. So then we had Thermal Expansion Part 4. So this was so Part 4 and 5 of Thermal Expansion was a much more kind of a systematic look at thermal expansion. I went through all the machines that were available. Yeah, were obviously available as of the current time. Kind of understood, about this system with the leadstone energy conduit. And obviously started to look at some of these. There's obviously a lot of issues. Do you want to see the items as they're going through? Because obviously that's with the opaque. I didn't actually focus on that too much, but it's something which I've actually been looking at a lot more recently. I was wondering why these pipes opaque? Why and I realized and does that help reduce lag and stuff like that? So yeah, thermal expansion is a very good mod. There's no other way of putting it really. It's just a very good mod. Redstone flux. Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah. Okay. So then we move on to biology, and biology 8. I absolutely loved biology 8. I did so much work for biology 8. I really did days and days of preparation for that. And when I made the video, it just went absolutely perfectly. I couldn't have hoped for anything better from Biology 8. It really was so much fun to do. I got all my public domain images, I organised them all, I put them all, I integrated them, I created this sort of impromptu filing system for the images and the and all the written information and the public domain images. All my obviously the images that I'd drawn and public domain images. But yeah, it was so much fun to do. And then Biology 9 and 10 also went very well. I started drawing again. Biology 10 especially, I did some nice yeah. I started to show yeah, it was cool. It was nice to actually see what all the different organelles were. Yeah, it's nice for me to be able to recall what all the different organelles are, to have some kind of ribosomes, make proteins, the vesicles, they're sort of transporting between the other things, and then the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi apparatus. It's just nice to have this sort of, even if it's a very, very basic understanding, it's nice to have some kind of understanding of this stuff. At least to remember the names of the things and some, guess at what a possible function and hierarchy of operations is. But, well, I'm nowhere near that, to be honest. But anyway. All right, so then I went through, I did all that stuff. It was fun to do biology, and then I did some maths. And maths is maths. I like doing maths. It's always fun to do maths, really. I'm trying to think what I actually focus on. Unfortunately, I still don't put the bloody descriptions in here, so this is not good. I really do need to start putting the descriptions in. Yeah, I think I focused on complex numbers this time. Or raise. Perhaps I did it was exponents. I think this time. Yeah, I did some stuff on the exponents. So that was quite fun to do. Yeah, yeah. So it's always fun to do maths. Yeah, it's just doing maths is just flat out fun. If you can't enjoy maths, then you know, I don't know. Maths is just fun. What can you say about it? Um, um, then Thermal expansion part 5. Thermal expansion even. Um, so yeah, and that was the episode where I really went into detail about it, all the different machines. Yeah, four was more of a sort of this is a basic system. 5 was these are all the machines. So that was a lot of fun to do that. Yeah, to went through that. And unfortunately, the next day I did a rogue-like dungeons, and it was actually quite difficult to find one of those. I wasn't actually looking for one at any point, but I did do a little bit of running about the environment, and I was fortunate enough to find them. I couldn't. I mean, I did try to do stuff with the config, but the config options are kind of often in the early states of mod packs. Config options don't really work quite like you would want, and you can't really see the difference, or you change settings and things look the same, or something like this. And but I was fortunate to find a roguelike dungeon structure. I jumped in, did a kind of survival sort of thing, and funnily enough, there was actually special mobs in there, which I don't think I've actually seen anywhere else. I may have seen them in Deadly World actually. That's from an earlier mod pack. Yeah. Anyway, but roguelike dungeon was a lot of fun. It was a good one to do because I mean I don't know when I'm going to see one of those structures again. The next day I did Mistcraft Part 2. Well, obviously Mistcraft Part 1 is very prominent on my channel. And I thought, you know what? The actual description for Mistcraft Part 1 says, in this major new series. And it's like, well, there's only one part, and this is 6 months down the line. So let's do a second one. And yeah, part of it, I suppose, I don't know why, but I created a load of worlds. I kind of, I didn't really want to get into the nitty gritty of the context-free grammar system. So I just created a load of worlds, and I was fortunate enough to get an oil world and the molten redstone world did have some decay, unfortunately, but yeah, I was fortunate enough to get those, and I thought, what else can I really show in terms of this section? I mean, okay, you get crystals. Okay, there's the ravines that you can fall down into the overworld. Okay, there's different colour sky. There's star fields and multiple suns. But I thought, you know what, an oil world is pretty cool. Molten redstone world is pretty cool. Having these huge lakes and seas of mod liquid is actually very, very cool. And it felt a good match. And then Ender Stories, that one, another one, which Ender Storage Part 1 is one of the videos I remember the most, because that ability to take liquid from a place where there's a huge amount, put it in that ender tank, and then transfer and power, a possible factory in the overworld or wherever it may be, is very, very important. But this was not much. Funnily enough, I've actually got, when I saw, there's actually an item in mariculture called I should probably learn to pronounce it now. Sluice. Yeah, I think it's a sluice. That's how you pronounce it. Is it sluice or sluice? Sluice is. So yeah, that's in mariculture, which I haven't looked at yet. There's a range of different mods I haven't looked at yet, which I've kind of earmarked certain blocks in them, and that will certainly be one because that is going to be allow me to deploy large amounts of liquid, which is going to be useful, rather than just keeping these things in a tank. Okay, that did lava monsters. That was a very interesting mob. Quite powerful mob, and they don't stay in the lava. They actually walk out of the lava. Fun mob though, and you've got them both in the overworld and the nether. And then what happened next? Well, I did Zan's minimap. Like I say, I was kind of I wasn't really sure the difference between Zan's and Ray's minimap was. And of course, there's this ongoing issue with whether Zan's minimap is actually called voxel map or not. It's something which I just can't seem to quite understand. I'm sure one day I'll get it, but I'm just not sure about it at the moment. But I tend to try to follow what the launcher says, and I call it Zan's minimap, so I just call it Zan's minimap. And what I'd actually been doing, recently, is basically doing a system where I've got where I make the well, it's either the center point or the point directly to the right hand side. Basically, if you imagine just the normal way of going around a circle in maths, you'd go sort of anti-clockwise, from 0 to pi up to 2 pi. So, and what I wanted to do was basically just take kind of each, it'd be sort of like each each half of each quadrant, and then divide it by a further 2, and then we could have sort of 8. So we'd have 8 spots around the center, and basically just do it like that, and then call each one and then have the colors of the wall, because I really want to remember the colors of the wall because it's very important. So then you just have, so you'd go around, and that was basically what I was trying to do with that. That was kind of the it's obviously I've made it clear in the particular video. In terms of how I was doing the waypoints, and it's interesting that you can actually combine Zan's with Journey Map and Ray's with Opus. And with Journey Map, actually, the waypoints the waypoints will actually show up and can integrate into that. So that was very interesting to see that there's actually going to be interoperability between cartographic mods. So that's something which I definitely haven't seen before. And there's lots of little things I haven't seen before that do seem to be happening with the mod. So it's very, very. So the fact that I've got so into it at this period is it's definitely going to be beneficial, because there's lots of things that I've seen that perhaps I haven't even mentioned here that are going to be very, very useful to understand the development as best as I can. All right. So that was Zan's minimap, and then we had not enough keys. So this is interesting that, and it's something which perhaps I didn't talk about too much when we were talking about Whaler, which obviously that whole what am I looking at is what it means, isn't it? So I didn't actually do Jabber now I think about it, but anyway, so there's a lot of things going on with NEI. It's becoming a more kind of it's becoming a more complicated piece of software. Not enough keys is very. I mean, I basically just show we can see what all the conflicting options, and so it's very much kind of becoming a more sophisticated piece of software. And not enough keys is a very cool part of NEI. But even so, it's good. It's good, especially with this development of it. With, of course, you've got NEI plugins. You've got Whaler. There's also that context menu for Whaler as well. It's good to see, which is actually already included in NEI. The show highlight tooltips section. But there's obviously extra things coming with not enough keys, and I need to look at that and other things. There are other things in the past that I didn't look at that kind of a little bit mainly to do with config stuff. Like I wanted to look at Hunger Overhaul and stuff like that. I didn't look at all that stuff, and there's a few more modern ones as well. But yeah, so and then I did Tree Capitator. Tree Capitator is fun. I actually changed the config for that. I did kind of I changed it to an enchantment basically, and it was interesting to look at the config for that, because obviously Tree Capitator is very well known. But I learned some interesting new things about overall mod structure, overall pack structure, and stuff like that. So it was good for me to do that one. and it was an enjoyable video. I actually did that on the Galacticraft island, as you could see. It was fun. Then I did MFS Calclavia Part 1. So yeah, so this is something I only kind of recently sort of found out, or realised, I suppose, is that the two different types of MFFS going in different directions. Obviously, the original MFFS is a video that is one of my most popular on my channel, so I wanted to do this one as well. So that was fun to do, and I think I've got a good handle on these kind of central blocks, and it's a very, very interesting mod, and there's certainly a lot of potential for interoperability with Redstone, and perhaps also actual Redstone mods, which have come up recently, and which I'm sure I'll be covering soon. So, and then I've been deductive Redstone. That was enjoyable, that deductive Redstone. Like I said previously, I was talking about the previous month's Redstone videos. This idea that you send the signal, it gets a signal, and then there's a delay. I'm starting to think about delays and timings. That's what you got to think about, and that's what I wasn't thinking about when I was doing the previous. This is, AND gate, NOT gate, OR gate, XOR gate, XNOR gate. That's what I wasn't thinking about, but I am thinking about that now. And then I continued on with power level, and I talk about comparative. I didn't even know. I really didn't know how comparative worked at all. At least I know now. Repeaters re-strengthen the signal, comparators maintain the signal. That fact alone is the fact that I'm going to remember, which is cool. And then next day did Calclavia as well, part 2. So obviously been enjoying that. It's a cube mode and pyramid mode. And then so then I did Carpenter's Blocks yesterday, and Carpenter's Blocks, wow, Carpenter's Blocks is incredible. To be able to change so much in terms of textures, and to be able to use mod textures as well. I mean, and also there's also a lot of and to be able to change between a wooden and iron door on the fly, that is really cool. And then there's a hatch, there's a safe, there's ladders, there's a bed, of course. But yeah, it's just really fun, Carpenter's Blocks. I mean, and obviously you have to say, obviously there's the whole slope thing with different angles. It's obviously in a world of cubes, different angles are very, very, very cool to see. And finally, of course, there's this video. So yeah, I'm just going to end the video now by, like I say, talking about Engineer's Toolbox. I'm just going to go through what I did there, and just to end this video. So yeah. Okay, so I just want to conclude this video with a brief demonstration of what I did in Engineer's Toolbox. So I'm going to just do the whole thing really. I built some kind of structure. Not sure this is going to be the right size. We'll see. Possibly not. Make it a bit bigger. We certainly won't need this cow. No, we won't need many things. But yeah, one thing I just thought this was so cool that you could have all these different internal storages, and just this whole idea of using this modular socket was just very, very cool, I thought. Okay, so we'll put the modular socket down here. Okay, like so. And what I might do is I'm just going to put in the water intake here. Water intake there. And we want to have the fluid output here. We're on the tank mode. So we're going to go 1, 1, and 1. And then we're going to just put that there, and there. Put in the tank here. And that should all be configured. So if we just, I need 1, didn't I? Because I'm using creative. Just put in 2. See that that's going to fill that up nicely. Okay. Let's just do the same thing. Well, not the same thing. Something different on this side. And yeah. Oh wow. Oops. Okay. Alright, we'll put our modular socket down. We'll sort that out for the item. Sort this out for the lava. Sort that out for that. Then we're going to need our chest as well. Sort that out for that. So this time we're going to put our lava intake here. In there. We're going to have our item output on the top. We're going to switch our socket to item mode. And we should probably set things up first. So we'll put our cobblestone pipe here. Oh no, I tried that last time. Alright, let's go back to the automatic emerald pipe. That's what I originally used. I haven't done dem pipes yet. I will have to do that. Oh no, it doesn't seem to connect. Interesting. Did I not? Oh, it's maybe because I didn't set this up correctly yet. Have I not? Let me just do this. There we go. Can we put that on? I wonder if the cobblestone pipe does actually work. Would like to use it. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Let's put our chest here. Alright. So everything is now configured. Maybe I did click it already, actually. I wonder if I should have used that emerald pipe. Let's have a look. I wonder what I've done wrong here. No, I don't think I set this up correctly first of all. Doesn't look like it, does it? check we've got this correctly configured. 1. Now that's correctly configured. Okay, awesome. So yeah, wow. Consolidation report. It's been a cool period, and it's been fun. I think it might maybe reset itself actually. So as you can see, a supply of cobblestone, nice supply of water. I like this because it's water, it's liquid, it's items. It's a nice setup, and it's all really cool. So as night descends, that'll be it for this consolidation report. So thanks for watching.